Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Quick Tip Tuesday. This video is going to be an in-depth video on how I groom and fill in my eyebrows. I know I have a video on my channel that I previously did on how, or the different ways to fill in your brows, but this one is going to go into detail on how I groom them as well. I get a lot of requests on how I groom my eyebrows. I've never ever in my entire life have let anyone touch my eyebrows. I've always done them myself. I've always plucked them. I've never used wax or threaded them or any other way you can groom your brows. I've always plucked them. I even had a celebrity eyebrow esthetician, I think that's what you would call it, ask if she could do my eyebrows, and I said yes because I got excited, but then immediately took it back because I've never let anyone touch my brows, so I was like, why do it now? So yeah, if you guys are interested and want to see how I groom and fill them in, keep on watching. Before I get started, I always make sure I have a spoolie brush because I will be brushing my brows a ton, as you will see. Some small grooming scissors and a pair of tweezers. I like the ones that are slanted and not pointed. At this point, it's been about a month since I have plucked or trimmed my brows, so I'm just gonna go ahead and brush them up so I can see how long they are and what the general shape is. And then I'll line up my brush or anything with a straight edge up against the side of my nose to make sure that my brows are starting, arching, and ending at all the right places. As you can see, the tail end of my brow is a little short, so I'll make sure to add a little more product when filling them in that area. Using my ring finger, I will gently pull back the skin. This makes it a lot easier to pluck the excess hairs from the skin. I find that if you don't hold the skin tight and you just start plucking, it tends to be a lot more painful and a lot harder to pluck the actual hairs. Once I'm done plucking the excess hair underneath the brow, I'm gonna comb the brow hairs downward and start plucking the excess hair above the brow. Now I'm just going back and being a little more precise and plucking the brows right up against where the brow starts. This is going to give it almost like a freshly waxed look, and please ignore that pimple that grew in on the inner part of my brow. Even though I have a couple of sparse hairs on the inner part of my brow, I don't like to pluck them because when I fill them in, I do add product to that area and it just looks a little more natural if there's a little bit of real hair in that area. And then, of course, you can't forget to pluck the unibrow. Now it's time for a little trim because, as you guys saw when I first brushed them up, they are extremely long. So I just brushed them up with a spoolie brush. I grabbed those small grooming scissors, I tuck them in underneath the brows and just snip them away. As you guys saw, I use both of my hands to keep it really steady because the last thing I want to do is chop off my eyebrows. And this is what my brows look like when they're freshly groomed. Now on to filling them in. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen me do it a ton in my tutorials, but I always like to apply whatever product I have on my skin around my brows before filling them in. So in this case, I'm using the Tinted Moisturizer. The reason I do this is because it prevents me from later messing up my brows when applying my foundation, and it just gives me a lot cleaner and smoother of a finish. But because I applied something that is slippery and technically kind of wet on the skin, I like to go in with a setting powder and just lightly dust it across the brows to prevent that slip when applying the brow product. In this case, I'm using the Anastasia Brow Wiz in the shade Medium Brown. I've really been loving brow pencils lately to fill in my brows. I also love powders, but I tend to easily go overboard with them. Brow gels, like the colored brow gels, tend to just make my brows look thicker. They don't necessarily make them look defined. And then pomades, like a Dip Brow from Anastasia, just make them look a little too heavy and sharp. But if you are someone with really sparse brows, those products could be perfect for you. If you like a really defined brow, or if it got a little messy while you were applying your brow product to your brows, grab a flat definer brush. I absolutely love this one from Smith. It's the 112 brush. I think I have like 5 of them on hand at all times. Dip it into whatever product you have on your skin, whether it be foundation, tinted moisturizer, or concealer, and use that to clean up your brows. Finally, I'm just cleaning up around the brows with a Morphe E8 brush, and of course, I can never go without my clear brow gel from Anastasia to set my brows in place. And that completes my full brow routine. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so I see you in the next one. Bye guys!